All right, Bears fans, let's be completely and totally honest here with ourselves, with each other. Cut the crap. Justin Fields has been a massive disappointment through 3 games. Yes, it's 3 games, but it is 3 games. Saying that he's been bad does not make you a crummy person. It does not make you a bad, crappy fan of Bears football. You could sit there and try to make as many excuses and defenses and justifications as you can, but cut it out. Because it makes you look like a fucking tool. It really does. Yeah, I know. His supporting cast is substandard. Let's not kid ourselves. He's got an offensive line that's great in terms of run blocking. Imagine that. Bears football! But when it comes to pass blocking, they're below average. They're damn near booty cheeks. Gee, imagine that. Leave it to the Bears to address the offensive line in a way that they're better in the element of the game that is less important, which is running the ball. Sounds about Bears football, doesn't it? They got a scrub-ass receiving core. That's the only way you can put it, a scrub-ass receiving core. Period. Like, sitting there and assuming that core was going to do big things this year was a massive stretch of the highest order, and they have managed to underperform and underdeliver. Now, some of that is also due to Justin Fields, but not entirely. But they also have an offensive coordinator that's never called plays at the NFL level and clearly is very one-dimensional in his thinking, in the wrong dimension, dumb, whatever. But Luke Getsy is not exactly the guy you'd point to and say this is the best guy to work with a young quarterback, and the early results are clearly bearing that out. And then the Bears also have a defensive-minded head coach. Like, there's all these different things counting against you. You can say, well, Justin Fields has a great running game. Lots of Bears quarterbacks have had great running games. It doesn't fucking matter at the end of the day. You got to throw to win consistently in the NFL, especially in games that really matter. And the Bears can't do that. And so while we could sit there and make all these excuses for different reasons why the offense isn't good, they're all valid. I want to be clear here, but at the end of the day, like, great players can overcome the shitty circumstances that they're surrounded by. And Fields right now, in that dude, he's fucking sucked so far. He's sucked. He has really, really sucked. If you can't accept that, if you can't acknowledge that, I am not the problem, you are. Don't spin it, excuse it, minimize it, try to justify it, acknowledge it. He just flat out needs to play fucking better. He's taking sacks that he shouldn't because he's holding onto the ball way too damn long, because he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, it seems like right now, in terms of being able to see the field. You wonder if the adjustment in the offseason to his throwing mechanics screwed him up, because he certainly has not progressed through 3 games. He has shown a regression. He's missing open receivers, and he's missing the right read, quite a bit. He's got some turnovers, and there aren't a lot of big play attempts and big play conversions to say, hey, I'll live with some turnovers here and there. Like, he has sucked. And it's been really striking to see just how much he has sucked and just how little faith the Bears coaching staff, the Bears play calling, meaning Luke Getsy, how little faith and trust they have in him. Because the situation and circumstance that they're putting him in makes it clearly evident that they do not trust this guy right now. The hell would you take the job if you weren't going to give Justin Fields every chance to succeed? That just seems idiotic to me. And when I say Justin Fields has sucked, this is not me beating up on the kid. Certainly not. This is not me giving up on him. No, you can worry and have concerns without giving up on somebody. That is possible, But his numbers through the first 3 games of 2022 are historically record-setting bad. 23 of 45, so that means he's averaging 15 pass attempts a game. And not even completing 8 of them. That is paltry. That is pathetic. 297 passing yards. I talked about before the season, 4,000 passing yards or bust for Justin Fields. Obviously it's a big ambitious stretch goal here, but that's the name of the game, is put the ball in his hands and let him throw early, often, consistently, repeatedly, is that the only chance he's going to have to develop. He's averaging 99 passing yards a game. This is scrub shit of the highest order, the likes of which we've never seen before. Not even just Bears football, but you're talking about like post-merger NFL. This is brutal. 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And even when you talk about his athleticism as a runner, you're barely seeing that. 14 carries, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Like, those are hardly impressive rushing numbers. Like, you kind of look at Justin Fields right now through 3 games and say, what exactly would you say you do around here? And to give you some context, we're not going to start calling him Bustin' Fields. That's really dumb, and it's way too early to do that. But to give you some historical context on just how bad this performance has been, let's take a look back at other notable Chicago Bears quarterback busts in the past couple of decades. Mitchell Trubisky, let's start there. In his second season, through 3 starts, his numbers, 72 of 104, 591 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 14 carries, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Just think about that for a second. Trubisky sucks. And even he was averaging almost 200 passing yards a game. Like, from a passing standpoint, he's getting more than double the attempts, has more than, double the yards damn near. Is he twice the quarterback of Justin Fields? I certainly don't think so, but you couldn't tell by the numbers. And what's key there to talk about Trubisky's first 3 starts of that 2018 season, where the Bears ultimately went 12-4 and won the NFC North, is that 4th game of the year? Oh, yeah, by the way, that was the Tampa Bay Bucs game where he threw 6 touchdown passes and went over 300 yards. Yeah, let's see Justin Fields do that against the Giants in Week 4. But it gets worse. Compare his numbers in his first 3 starts, talk about Justin Fields in 2022, his second season, to the first 3 starts of Cade McNown in 2000, his second season in the league, his last season in the league. That's how bad this guy was. In those first 3 starts of season 2 in 2000, 65 for 106, 588 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and peep this, 17 carries, 140 rushing yards, and a touchdown. So he threw for more yards. Cade McNown was more accurate, more proficient, and successful as a passer and as a runner than Justin Fields through 3 games of their second season. Holy Christ, that is god-awful, horrendously bad. You cannot spin that any other way. So at this point, Bears fans absolutely have a right to be concerned and worried. It's not panicking too quickly. It's not being racist. It's not being any of that other shit. He has been incredibly lousy. The receivers around him stink. The offensive line as a pass blocking unit stinks. The play calling stinks. Like, a lot of things work against him here. But he's also not helping himself. Gotta call it where you see it. However, we're talking about a young quarterback that's in his second offensive system in 2 years. He's got to get the stink of Matt Nagy out of him. He's only had 3 regular season games in the Luke Getsy system. And it's way too early to bail on him just yet. If you see anybody that is advocating to start Trevor Siemian, kick him square in the crotch. They deserve it. They really do. Because nothing else matters this year. Not these meaningless wins against the Houston Texans. The only thing that matters this year is Justin Fields' development, period. We've seen enough years like this, what we've seen the first 3 games. We've lived through that. That is Bears football! And how exactly has that made the Bears a consistent championship contender? All right, it fucking hasn't. So let's not sit there and do business as usual, shall we? I mean, good Lord. But it's only been 13 starts so far for him and 3 starts under a new offensive coordinator, a new system. It is not time to panic. It's time to worry. It's not time to panic. It's not time to give up. If Justin Fields looks like this in games 16 and 17 of this season, like he has in weeks 1, 2, and 3, then yeah, the Bears will need to be looking for a new quarterback in the 2023 draft. No arguments, period. He looks this bad, then you found out. But at least you would have found out. But have you even really started to find out? I don't know. If you're a Bears fan, though, and you want to be hopeful, and you want to be optimistic, and you're bought into Justin Fields, and you say he's going to figure it out, he's going to turn it around, like, who knows? Maybe he can. I have my doubts at this current moment based off of what we've seen, but stranger things have happened. One thing you can go off of is the recent history indicates that you can have some guys that play kind of like bums in year 2 can ball out the next year. Jalen Hurts. Look at his year 2 last year for the Eagles. Completed 61% of his passes, only a little over 3,100 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Certainly more dynamic as a runner than Justin Fields, right now. You talk about in his second season, Hurts had 139 carries for 784 yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. But as a passer, he certainly wasn't great. But even there, you could see projecting out Fields' numbers for an entire season, even if you factor in some improvement, he's significantly lagging behind Jalen Hurts. But there's a precedent of a guy in year 2 struggles. Now we're talking about early in 2022 season. Jalen Hurts is a very early MVP candidate. Josh Allen, year 2, you're going to see this comparison. Completed less than 59% of his passes, threw for under 3,100 passing yards. But he had 20 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, 510 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns. Like, here's the thing with Josh Allen is you saw more flashes from him in years 1 and especially in years 2 than you have seen out of Justin Fields. But you also saw the big leap that Josh Allen took from year 2 to year 3. So it's possible. If you're a Bears fan, that is one of the things that you can kind of cling on to here. And you look at Tua Tagovailoa, frankly. Last year under Brian Flores, hard for any young quarterback to succeed under that fucking moron. Tua completed almost 68% of his passes. The passing yards, he only threw for 2,600 passing yards. But 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Not much of a runner, but he did have 3 rushing touchdowns. And you look very early on in year 3, Tua's had a couple of good, maybe solid games. Then he had week 2, that monster game with the 6 touchdowns and the 4 fourth quarter touchdown passes against the Ravens. There is some precedent here that some young quarterbacks that look kind of bad in year 2 could come back in a big way in year 3. The concern is, as you look at the Dolphins, they showed a propensity to invest way more around Tua Tagovailoa between the last 2 off seasons than the Bears seem to current state. And you can say, well, they're putting all that cap space away they're going to spend in the future. What are they going to spend it on? What's even going to be available at that point? It's a fair question. Josh Allen, you could talk about, and you say, well, by 2019, his second season, they had drafted Devin Singletary, they drafted Justin Knox, they drafted Cody Ford. The next offseason, they're fucking trading for Stephon Diggs. They're making other moves, continuing to invest in the offense around him. Same thing with Jalen Hurts. Last year, the Eagles drafted Vontae Smith in year 1. This year, they made the trade to bring in A.J. Brown. He had Dallas Goedert in the fold. He had Miles Sanders there in the backfield. Better core of an offensive line. So, it's not unheard of for year 2 quarterbacks, recently at least, to stink and then in year 3 come out and look better. That is true. It happens, but the Bears seem to be quite a bit away. And when you talk about Justin Fields, even his current performance right now is so far below that bar of those other 3 guys I just named. You're hoping there, but that's all you're really doing is hoping. But Bears fans shouldn't give up on Justin Fields yet. You got 14 games left to go in this season. Justin Fields needs to start every single one of them. What you need to see from Justin Fields, in particular from Luke Getsy as a play caller, is to throw it early, throw it often. Running it a lot is really dumb. I'm not going to argue with you because you're not right if you want to sit there and say, well, they're running the ball and they're playing defense and they're winning games. How many times have we done that? Where has that ended them up? Bears football, shut the hell up! It's Justin Fields is more important than anything else. And what Luke Getsy is doing right now from an offensive play calling standpoint and approach, in my opinion, is really bad. The way to develop a young quarterback is to give him more opportunities, not fewer. Because what you can clearly see right now is a quarterback of Justin Fields that isn't trusting his game, that isn't trusting what he sees, isn't trusting what's going on. And all you're doing by taking the ball out of his hands and giving him fewer opportunities to throw is you're putting more pressure on him to where you're going to get even more paralysis by analysis. And instead of allowing a young athletic guy with arm talent to kind of play free and loose and say, hey, you can make some mistakes, this is how you're going to learn and get better, you're playing this goddamn close to the vest, and he puts even more pressure on himself, and he plays even worse. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're afraid of the mistakes, so he ends up making more mistakes. The Bears have to put the goddamn ball in his hands as a passer, period. That's the first thing you got to do. Then you got to figure out a way to manufacture touches for guys like Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet. Like, adequate offensive coordinators can do that. Luke Getsy's not even showing himself to be adequate in terms of a play caller, in terms of scheming guys open. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. It's pathetic to see. Like, get these guys involved early. Get Justin Fields on the run. And then when you talk about, like, well, he's not throwing a whole lot. Yeah, he's also not running a whole lot either. Like, 27 carries for 95 yards. You could say, well, he's running. He's had an average of 9 rushing attempts a game. Yeah, but even then they're not very effective. Point I'm getting at is that's indicative of more scrambles than they are like designed runs. Let's get some more design runs. Get him into a rhythm early. The way to get him into a rhythm early is not with goddamn handoffs. It's with getting him on the move, getting him in the flow of the game athletically, short passes, like screens, slants, quick flat patterns, those types of things. Basic, fundamental stuff that logical NFL offensive coordinators would do that Luke Getsy seems to be opposed to fucking doing. I don't like his offensive approach, what I've seen so far. Because why? Because at the end of the day, it's not doing anything but hindering and hurting the development of Justin Fields. And why can I say that? Look at the first 3 games of the season. What the hell else do you need to see, frankly? You gotta put the ball in Justin Fields' hands. Because the best thing for the team and the organization is to air it out more and find out what the hell you got in this kid. Trying to sit there and struggle to win 9 or 10 games and get into the back door of the playoffs is not the point, is not the plot of this season. If you think it is as a Bears fan or a member of the Bears organization, you're missing the fucking plot. Justin Fields has been bad. He needs to be better. He needs to stop freezing and start just playing. And fucking let it fly and let the mistakes happen if they happen. Make some big plays. Like, you're not even trying to sit there. Every 3rd and 8 or longer, instead of running goddamn screens and fucking draws with the halfback, you should be throwing it deep. You could say, well, it could be intercepted. He could get sacked. It could be incomplete. Well, if ifs and buts, bullshit. It could also be a big game-changing bomb for a completion for the offense. It could be a fucking pass interference penalty, defensive holding penalty, illegal contact. Even if you say, hey, it was a 50-yard arm punt. You know, well, shit. You say, well, that might change the momentum for the defense and put the other team at the advantage, but who fucking cares? You got to take chances. No risk it, no biscuit, damn it. I see a quarterback that is tentative and scared, and I think the offensive approach and philosophy that the Bears have right now is really behind the times. This feels like some shit you would watch from the 1970s and not in 2022. You got to get him comfortable early, got to get him into a rhythm early. And if the Bears don't do that, Justin Fields is absolutely going to become Bustin' Fields. Because he's not going to have enough opportunities. He's not going to get enough help from his coaching staff. He already has a lackluster supporting cast around him. Like, you continue to see this shit in future weeks. I think he's going to get a little better because he can't get much worse. Like, he's going to get better. But sit there and, let's not get too giggly tits if he goes out there against the Giants on Sunday and throws for like 225 yards and a touchdown. But look, gee, I told you he's going to be so much better. That's how low the bar is now, is you're going to be talking shit about that like that's a great game. Let's not do that. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Justin Fields looks worse in year 2 than he did in year 1. And year 1 was with Matt Nagy. What changed so much that he looked better, talking about Fields, under a numbskull like Nagy than under the current Chicago Bears offense? Think about that. Don't give up on him yet, Bears fans. If you're still seeing this crap at the end of the season, different conversation. You can worry, be concerned, don't panic, don't give up. But shit absolutely has to change for the Chicago Bears, and it starts with the offensive approach. It's got to be about Justin Fields. And if it's not, he's doomed to become Bustin' Fields, unfortunately.